Hello and welcome to another tutorial. In this video, I'll show you how to make 140 breaks in the style of LMajor, inspired by his tracks Raving Cru, The Power, and Can't Do It. The project file, samples, and presets are available for a small contribution in the description, along with links to some of the free vocal samples I've used in this project. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you learned something from this video, and follow my other socials linked below. I'd also recommend watching my denim audio video if you're a fan of Club Glow. Our BPM is 140, although Can't Do It is at 163, and we're in the key of G major. We have these break kicks. So there are a couple of kicks from the Think break and this Amen kick. With this first Think kick, I've pitched it down by a semitone for this section in bar 7. Repitching of breakbeat elements is a technique employed by LMajor, and you'll hear this throughout the project. You might have clocked the filter on the group. And there's also drum bus. I've used the damping function throughout the project to help give the breaks a grimy old school feel, although mostly in parallel. The filtering and kick rhythm were inspired by The Power. Then we have the rest of the breaks. I've used Think and Amen as I did for the kicks, and employed techniques including repitching, reversing, time stretching, plus various effects. LMajor uses these types of effects to create his chaotic drums, reminiscent of 90s jungle. This tam loop helps subtly thicken the breaks. Finally, we have the break effects. I've used a reverse snare from Soul Pride, and this break can be heard in The Power. On the group, there's delay, and I've used Serum Effects to add flanger, plus mono utility. On the breaks group, there's drum bus, again in parallel. I've applied this MPC groove to all the elements in the breaks group to humanize them as I snap them to the grid before bringing them into the project. And on the drums group, there's saturator, OTT, glue compressor, and G-clip, plus EQ. Reverb is applied via Send A, and I noticed LMajor's breaks in Raving Cru were quite reverbed. I wanted a natural sounding reverb, so I chose the ukb preset using the hybrid reverb. Next we have the basses. First, we have an 808 sample. Then we have the wobble. This is the first of the bass sounds that employs a pitch drop, which we can see in the matrix with LFO1 modulating the master tuning. Oscillator A is a square wave taken down by 2 octaves, and we have a low pass filter with its cutoff modulated by LFO2. In the effects, there's distortion and a second filter. On the channel, there's an EQ, and there's one of these in each channel, cutting below the fundamental of the lowest note. Next, we have the warper. LMajor's bass lines don't move around too much outside of pitch drops, and it's usually movements between adjacent intervals. Like in Raving Cru and Can't Do It. This is in between a classic warper and a detuned Reese, so the unison is at 3. I'm using this add seconds waveform with its wavetable position modulated by LFO1. LFO1 is also modulating the cutoff of this low pass filter. The sub is also activated, and it's a sine wave taken down by 2 octaves. In the effects, there's distortion and an EQ, removing low mids. Next, we have this classic bass stab. We have a sine wave taken down by 2 octaves, being modulated by another sine wave, with the modulation amount being modulated by envelope 2, if that's not too confusing. Oscillator B's level has been taken down. The organ noise level and the filter cutoff have their levels modulated also by envelope 2. In the effects, there's distortion. Finally, we have the sub drop. The sub and oscillator A are both sine waves taken down by 2 octaves, with A detuned. LFO2 is modulating the cutoff of this low pass filter. And there's distortion in the effects. In the matrix, we can see that LFO1 is modulating the master tuning. On the group, I've used multi-band compression to compress the subs, but I've monoed them beforehand. The detuning of some of the basses causes inconsistencies, and the multi-band helps with this. Then we have parallel glue, limiter, chorus, and reverb via A. Next, we have the effects group. First, we have the Reese effects. There's this subby saw waveform taken down by 2 octaves and detuned, running into a low pass filter with its cutoff modulated by LFO1. In the effects, there's hyperdimension, distortion, EQ, and reverb. And on the channel, there's overdrive, an EQ removing lows, and echo. The rest of the effects channels have individualized echoes and delays, or in some cases both. On the group, there's bass mono below 500 Hz, drum bus, again in parallel, EQ, and chorus plus reverb via A. LMajor's use of effects is fairly standard for Jungley stuff, although I think the way he uses them to punctuate his music is unique, and I've tried to capture this during the final few bars. Finally, we have the vocals. I've linked raw versions of these below. I spent some time tuning and format shifting these before bringing them into the project, so they blended together nicely. These soul female vocals are inspired by Can't Do It, with the hardcore vocal inspired by The Power. LMajor's tracks balance busy and empty space, and this is true with the breaks, effects, and vocals. Each vocal channel has echo applied. And on the group, there's drum bus, EQ, a limiter, and chorus, plus reverb via A. And that's the video. Please leave any questions in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.